What's going on, folks? I'm Femi the Agent,
And I'm Femi the Realtor.
back on another episode of Sneakers and Real Estate, two of my favorite things that I love to talk about. If you follow me or you follow my son, you know that we love sneakers, sneakerheads. We buy them, we wear them. The ones we don't wear, we sell, and we look for new pairs. So we keep this thing going on. Today, we're going to be talking about the Air Force One GTX Escape Gore-Tex. So, I mean, there's not really too much that you can say about Air Force Ones. They've been around since 1984. They found a lot of different ways to reinvent themselves, so many different ways. But these right here, I think, were quite fitting since we are going into the winter season. Jack Frost is out there, and it's raining kind of crazy today. So these Gore-Tex ones are definitely a great pair to have. The colors that they have on them, the green on the back, the olive on the front, the little tan, just a great shoe. They come with two different pairs of laces. You have the blue and orange, which reminds me of the Air Moabs. I'm kind of showing my age by even saying that. But that's what it kind of reminds me of. Like I said, you guys know I love Air Force Ones. I have them in so many different colorways. But this is always a great shoe to have. And these keep you warm, and it'll keep your feet nice and dry. So I definitely would definitely recommend you try to grab yourself a pair of these. They are still dead stock, as you can see. I haven't worn them yet. I definitely will be breaking these out. I actually may just put them on today and chuck the sneakers I have on. So, but definitely a great sneaker that I think you need to have and add to your arsenal. So I'm not going to keep talking about sneakers. We're going to jump into the real estate talk because we do have an esteemed guest today that we need to get to. So we'll jump to my son and let him tell us about the market and the rates.
The rates are a little bit under 7 right now for a 30-year fix, and then for 15 we have a little bit under 6. So always still a good time to buy and own something of your own and not pay off somebody else's mortgages. Pay your own, have your own equity, doing your own thing. Whenever you feel like it, you don't have to take any rules from anybody of, when you want to update things or when you want to do this, that, and the third. So, always a great time to buy, especially with the holidays coming up. Everybody else has a lot of other things on their mind. So, you can hone in and really take what you need to take serious because it kind of eliminates all the other noise. So, always still a great time to buy right now.
So that, like my son said, we would definitely always recommend, owning something as opposed to renting. You don't want to pay off anybody's mortgage. You want to pay off your own. You want to do your own thing at your own pace and, without anybody being able to tell you what to do and when to do and how to come and when to go and, all those different things. But we will jump into, talking with my esteemed guest today. What we try to do on the show is to try to bring you different speakers, and we could bring a lot of value to you. Today, we definitely want to talk to, and we want to thank Kevin Spann, the insurance guy, for joining us today. Glad to have you here on the podcast.
Glad to be here. And I love the open. I love all of the energy. First, as a father of 3 sons, I love that you and your son are doing this together. That means everything. It's such a beautiful image and a beautiful message that needs no more words add to it.
Thank you.
And secondly, taking nothing away from your opening, I love what your son said about the importance of ownership so that you can update your house and make changes. I was visiting a friend of mine last night, shout out to Daryl Matthews, VidCom Photo, and he was showing me some changes he made to his garage,
Oh, wow,
he had
okay.
a 2-car garage. He moved it up. He expanded his office a little bit.
Nice.
And then we were talking about the benefits of ownership. I said, well, good thing that you own it and you didn't have to check with the landlord
anybody,
to
right?
see if you could
Make these changes.
Absolutely. So that's a beautiful thing that we don't talk about. We get into the numbers and the write-offs and all those things, but just that freedom to be able to make changes, especially as we've been home a little bit more than we've been before.
Absolutely.
That flexibility is everything. So I think that's a good reason for ownership. But I'm very happy to be here.
Thank you. We appreciate that. Just like you said, the freedom of always, owning your own space and being able to do what you want. I think with everything that we've gone through in the last 3 years with the pandemic, I think it opened up a lot of eyes and, gave a lot of people just a lot of I think, different ways to view things. Yes. Where, Lord forbid, we get into another pandemic, you want to be able to have your own space. You want to be able to do whatever you want at your leisure, right?
Absolutely. You want to be able to carve out as much freedom and happiness within your own house.
Yes.
As you possibly can.
Right.
So me being a person that pre-pandemic that was always on the go, being home during the pandemic forced me to stay home.
Right.
Forced me to build out my home office. Forced me to finish my basement so I can take more advantage of my space. I'll make you laugh. My brother and sister-in-law down in Ronkonkoma, when the pandemic started, they started making masks for everybody.
Nice.
And they were doing it from home, and their production was getting high. They started getting a lot of it.
Right.
And they were doing it for law enforcement and other people.
Nice.
And my son was helping us, like, where y'all doing all these masks at? And he's like, right there on the dining room table in the house, got upstairs. I said, wow. And then when my son went downstairs in the house, I said, we have this basement. We've been in the house for 20 years. We never finished it.
Wow.
So
20 years.
20 years in the house. We never finished the basement. We had a little minor water thing that I had to fix.
Right.
So we fixed that, resolved the water issue, brought in some great contractors. Shout out to Lauren Grange and her wonderful team. And
great contractors. I'm going to need those because I just had a horrible experience with some contractors.
Oh,
you guys know I got videos coming.
Oh, that's not good. Well, you will definitely love working with Lauren Granger, GLG Contract, and her husband, Frank Trippett.
Nice.
They did a fabulous job. And now I have more of my house to enjoy, so I can stretch out a little bit.
Nice.
You want to go away. It's nice to be able to go away downstairs. And work out,
right.
in your own place. So definitely a lot of value and a lot of benefit coming from it.
Nice. No, that's a fantastic thing. So for those who don't know who you are, if you want to tell the folks, exactly what you do and why the insurance is so important.
Okay, so I am Kevin Spann, better known on IG as Kevin Spann, the Insurance Guru. If you want to follow me, it's at Kevin Spann _Insurance Guru. I've been in this industry for 35 years. Wow. Femi and his son, they sell the American dream. They sell the house. My job, my team, my wonderful account executives back at the office, we protect and we insure the American dream with the proper insurance. So, yeah, the proper insurance, it's everything. And I use the word proper insurance by design because as we record this today, it's one of those 10 weather days out of the year where you need the proper insurance. We need personal insurance. So for those of you not here, we're in a beautiful studio. You can't see outside. But today is a day where we have a little bit of a storm. We got wind.
Some winds, a lot of winds.
Rain. We're going to have flooding on the South Shore and the coastal areas. And if your things are flying around your backyard or if a branch is flown into your window, you don't want to be looking online. You don't want to try to call an 800 number to remember who you bought it from.
Right.
You want personal service. You want to be able to ask someone, am I covered? My roof tiles are flying all over the yard. I have a leak coming in the house. Is this covered? And that's where personal service. So 10 days out of the year, you're absolutely going to need a local agent with personal service. The other 350 days, you could take a chance, but we don't believe in that. And I guess
nor do we advocate or recommend that.
No, never. And I guess the second thing I'll share is that's my motivation for writing my book, The Property Insurance Bible.
Which is a great book, by the way. I read that book, and I actually have some questions for you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate your support. We saw each other at an event. You picked it up. I appreciate it. But the Bible is an acronym for better insurance before losing everything. So if you don't have that better insurance and you have a day like today where it's windy, rainy, flooding, and it's all coming at you, in the moment, it's too late to get. You needed to get it yesterday. And if you're not a victim of the weather today, you need to get it today so you're prepared for tomorrow.
Right. And I did read the book. Like I said, it's a great book, and really, really touched me because just based on, the person that I know that you collaborated with, who did the publishing, shout to Jermaine Miller, my brother.
Sure, yes, sir.
It lets you know, the type of person that you're dealing with, and then me knowing, from everything that you wrote in the book, how you stayed on the grounds, how you're actually out in the field, especially during the times of the storms like the Superstorm Sandy and the other storm that we had. You actually being out on the front lines, helping your clients out, handing them checks, helping them figure out the different things that they need to figure out. From an insurance perspective, I don't see that with a lot of people, and no knock on anybody, but just me actually seeing you out in the field and see you out in the community, it says a lot because, they'll sell us insurance, but don't really take the time to explain the different insurance policies and the different riders and the different things that we need so that, like you said, on a day like today, out of those 10 days, we can actually be properly covered.
Absolutely. And that's my motivation. For most people, Femi, insurance is one of the top 5 bills in your house, right?
Right.
So you've got your mortgage or your rent. You have your car note. You need to eat a few times a month.
Right.
And
that definitely doesn't hurt.
Yeah, that
Right.
that hurts. I like to keep a couple of pounds on.
I do too, so don't feel bad. We're on the same boat.
But when you look at it, that fourth bill, when you add up your home insurance, your car insurance, your life insurance, business, whatever insurance you have, it's fourth or fifth in your house. So I have an obsession with making sure people understand what they're buying. They have a high level of education and awareness. And unlike your business in real estate, I think you guys collectively are the best on IG because you show beautiful pictures.
Thank you.
You discuss the financial parts, the interest rates that you open with. And insurance, I'm trying to create a visual of what insurance is.
All right.
So I've been there when my clients have had fires in the beautiful Avalon apartments. I've been there when cars have driven into houses.
Wow.
I've been there when the trees have fallen down and you can't cross the street and it's leaning in your house.
Right.
I've been there with permission of my clients. I've created videos in that moment, not only for them immediately, not selfishly, so you can see me and buy from me, but I want everybody to learn and grow from it. And I want people to ask their current insurance company hard question,
Right.
But for the grace of God, as that was me, am I covered?
Right. Which is a great thing. Like I said, just you being out in the field and actually being there with your people, being there with your clients, in the good times and the bad times. I mean, before it gets there, I know that you pride yourself on, trying to give people the right insurance. And you cover homeowners insurance and you cover auto insurance?
Absolutely.
You do both? Okay.
Absolutely. All personal lines insurance. Whatever property you live in, home, co-op, condo, renters, landlord, for the investors out there, we do all those properties. Auto, not just your car, but your motorcycle, your toys, your ATVs, your motorcycles.
Okay.
And then business insurance on a small level.
Okay.
And then I don't talk about it a lot publicly, but I love the life insurance side. We do that as well.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah, but primarily we present ourselves as the personal lines insurance experts in the area. We know this area, and we can insure people, from Montauk to Buffalo. We know this area of
wow.
New York State.
Nice. Very nice. So if we're talking about, I guess, if you're buying an investment property
Mm-hmm.
and you're trying to find a way to, I guess, get the best insurance so that you're covered and you don't want anything to fall over to you on a personal level, what type of insurance would you recommend that someone get as an investment?
Yeah, you must get a landlord package policy, so you let the insurance company know that you are a landlord and that you don't live there.
Okay.
So that you have the proper coverage. Unfortunately, Femi, what people do without the proper advice, the landlord's policy is going to cost you $200 to $300 more per year than a homeowner.
Okay.
Right. If you're an investor, you're doing this to make money, you want that. But the landlord policy includes a key coverage that's not in the home insurance, and that's the loss of income if there's a covered peril. So take today, let's just say there's water damage in the house, the tenant can't live there.
Right.
If you have the proper landlord policy, and it's going to take a while to fix everything, they're not going to pay you 3 months rent while they're out.
While they're out.
The policy will.
Wow. Okay.
Conversely, let's take the shortcut. Let's get the cheaper homeowners insurance instead of the landlord's policy to get through closing and to feel like you found the cheapest thing on the block. Well, one of the things I read in Newsday this morning is that we're under freezing levels. And if pipes freeze and it bursts in that house, maybe the house is temporarily unoccupied. You're not going to have any coverage. The insurance company is going to ask, why wasn't the heat on? Why did the pipes freeze? We all have our house temperature on right now, somewhere between 68, 72, wherever you're comfortable.
Right.
But if it drops down to 30, 40, that's telling us nobody lives there, and they will check.
Wow. Okay. So, I mean, from what you're saying, just the fact that the insurance only costs about $200 or $300 more a year, how come more people are not, I guess, advertising those types of policies and actually taking the time to educate their clients?
I don't know why they don't do it. I just know what I'm driven to do and what I'm
And what
passionate
you,
about.
I know that you're very passionate about
Yeah,
it. Just when you start to talk about it, it kind of gives you an idea. And I think off air, you and I definitely need to talk because I need to definitely switch over some of my insurances, and you're the guy that I need to speak to. As far as homeowners insurance, when you're buying a property, I guess first time home buyer, whatever the case is, what do you normally recommend?
I recommend that people get properly covered. I educate people, myself and my team of account executives. We educate people properly on what they need.
Okay.
And then we'll take it in layers because we know a first-time home buyer, sometimes the budget is tight.
Right.
So we'll talk about recommendations. We'll be honest with you about what's included in the policy and what's
not
excluded.
Right.
So that you know you're coming in with eyes wide open.
Right.
And people will say to us, I absolutely understand, but right now, my lender told me $1,500 a year. That's what I've budgeted for. I'm closing next week.
Right.
So can we get something around that number that fits the DTI, the debt to income ratio to get through? Can we pick this conversation up so we can increase coverages? So that's what we do, Femi. We help the first-time home buyer get through. But one of the things that's unique about my agency and why people like my team and my account executives is not a one-time deal with us. We are going to reach out to you every year. Probably we'll touch base 3 or 4 times a year to pick up on those conversations to find the right time. So let's say, for example, you share with me that you have, $25,000 worth of jewelry, and I recommend that you schedule it.
Right.
But at this time, that would add $500 to the cost of your
More of the right, of course.
Okay, not a good time. I'll direct you to another company, Jewelers Mutual, so you can look at the cost. And then as we talk annually, I'll have notes on your file. Remind Femi that he has a limited amount of jewelry coverage, and we want to revisit that conversation because that's the reality. Everybody can't get the most Cadillac policy to begin with. So let's start with the Buick, and we'll build up to the Cadillac as money allows. And, you're not coming from the area, coming up the way that we come up. We understand it. You can do what you can do when you have it. And when you don't have it, it's not the time. So we're very much understanding of that, and we help people through that process.
Yeah, which is not a bad thing. But I think the fact of the matter that you said that that's something that you touch on, maybe 3 or 4 times a year to let that client of yours know, even though we talked about it, and I know that in the beginning it was a little bit of a hard time. Now, I definitely strongly suggest that you pick it up because you never want to wait until it's too late.
No. We can't revisit the conversation.
After the fact.
You won't remember. The client won't remember, and I won't remember. So I believe in notes. Write things down all the time. Put it in files. Revisit the combination. 1 is the worst number in communication. If I say something to you once and expect you to get it, I'm a poor communicator. I'm really a poor communicator. So things need to be said to me multiple times until I write it down and I decide that today is the day I'm going to take action on that item and I'm going to better protect myself or whatever I'm working on in that moment. You know, you can never say something to someone once and think that they get it and be upset if they don't.
Okay. Well, I mean, like you said, that's the importance of writing things down or making notes or setting reminders. So in your experience with the insurance, me being a novice or, trying to learn like everybody else, with a lot of the superstorms that's happened and, here in New York and Texas and some of the different places where a lot of people didn't have any coverage, what actually, in your opinion, took place and I guess wasn't done properly to protect these people?
A couple of things. So I would say one thing, when you look at things that have happened in different areas, for example, my office is in Middle Village, Queens, kind of the Jamaica area. Right. Not in the Rockaways, not in the peninsula, not too close to the water. Right. But last year, my motivation for writing the book was Hurricane Ian. Hurricane Ida. The way that it hit the middle of Queens, the way that the city sewer system filled up, the way that water flooded into people's houses and 8 people lost their lives and people sustained incredible damage because of flood. Right. And most people didn't have it. And the reason being, even us as agents, even us as experts, we didn't anticipate it would hit the middle of Queens. So why is that? Why Brooklyn? Why the middle of the island? The one thing I think that everybody should do is get a quote for flood insurance, even if you don't live
even if you're not in the flood zone, right?
So that you can decide whether you want to spend $300 or $400 a year for something that you may never need,
or
but have peace of mind, or You can lose a $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 house because you never knew that you could have protected yourself for a couple $100. So I have a rule, family. You know, we choose to live here in New York.
Right.
New Yorkers know how to get it.
Right.
I don't spend anybody's money, and that's what I teach my team. Don't be afraid to present the offer. You tell me that you don't want to do it.
And you'll make that decision whether you want to take it or not. Right.
I'm not going to.
I'm just here to educate you.
I'm just here to educate you.
Right.
Who am I to assume that another $300 or $400 will break
make
you?
a bit right.
It won't break you. So that's one of the missions we're on, to give that information constantly in volume, to say on every podcast. Get a quote for flood insurance. And also get the maximum water backup protection you possibly can. Okay. So God forbid when that your sewer system backs up and that water comes in, it ruins your beautiful finished basement. Right. Most people, if they have water backup coverage at all, they only have about $5,000, and that's never enough. It's never enough to replace or replenish those things that's in the basement. You know, people have man caves, caves, all of those things down there, and it's always way more than $5,000 coming from a person that just finished my basement. I know what I spent. Right. It wasn't 5Gs. It was a lot more.
Right. So you can, I guess, still get a, I wouldn't say basic homeowners insurance, but you can get homeowners insurance, but then you can increase certain things that you feel like are really important, especially based on everything that's happened last couple of years. Yeah,
absolutely. So we are, I would say the thing that separates my agency and other good agencies, I'm not the only one out there doing it, is the policy review conversation is everything, because insurance companies are constantly evolving and introducing new coverage as we discuss things. You know, one of the new coverages that most people don't have, we've only offered it for 2 years, is service line coverage. So the service line is the pipe that runs from the house, from your house to the sewer system, to the street. Okay, that's not a part of your structure, not coverage. So if that breaks, you sell in the city, you sell out here on the island, you're going to spend $20,000 for someone to dig down and dig that up. So service line coverage is a new endorsement to a home insurance policy that we're talking to a lot of people about, because it's something new that you need. Because we have older houses. New York's an older area. There's
houses that were built in the 40s.
Yeah, there's very little. You know, all post World War II. There's very little new construction out here at all. You know, you don't have any major new developments like in other parts of the country where 300 or 400 people are moving in. No.
Right.
You know, most you have is renovations, fixer-uppers.
Fixer-uppers, that's true.
You know, some rip downs, but not in volume.
I mean, it's very funny that you say that, as far as the, you know, just the way that you go about doing your business and the policy reviews, because, you know, I have homeowners insurance. My primary, we're actually supposed to be moving. So I'm working on another property now that we're going to be moving to, an investment property. So like I said, I have to talk to you off air. And, you know, you just pay the insurance when it's due. Like my auto insurance, I pay twice a year. Mm-hmm. And you get that bill when it's due. You don't get any phone call for anybody to go over it with you, to review, to see if anything's personally changed in your life. You know, it's just one of those things, because we're running so much, we just pay what we need to pay and we just keep it moving. But, you know, I think the beautiful thing about, you know, yourself and the way, you know, that your company handles things, like I said, just going back to me reading the book, those phone calls, it makes such a difference, because something could have changed a few days ago and you reaching out to me, and now I can actually say, oh, you know what, Kevin, I need to do this and I need to do that. How do we go about actually tweaking these things?
Absolutely.
And it's really important.
Absolutely, especially yourself. You refer to yourself as a novice to insurance, but you've probably, like, based on assuming that your son is 20 plus years old, you've always had insurance. You've always driven.
Right.
You have experience paying for car insurance for a long time.
Right.
How long have you owned properties?
I bought my first house when I was 28. I'm 48 now, so 20 years.
20 years. When you started, the first one was probably all that you had, but fast forward, your assets have accumulated. Right. So that's the other thing we talk to people about. There's the first-time home buyer. I bought my house around the same age, 29. You were ahead of me. But fast forward to where you are today, we talk to people about personal umbrella policies, that excess liability insurance. So God forbid if you're ever sued, you have that excess $1 million of coverage to protect your assets, because people want what you have, but they don't want to do the work. And one of the fastest ways to get money.
Isn't that in the life? Isn't that the day and the time that we're living now?
Highly litigious. People love to sue. People love to come up. Wow. You know, people get hurt in a car accident and they call the lawyer before they call the doctor.
Oh my God!
Thinking payday as opposed to thank God I can walk.
Right.
That's wrong. That's wrong. Fundamentally wrong. So people will sue you. Your family and your friends will sue you. The kid next door that you're giving a ride to a game, or your niece
will sue you.
They will sue you. So, and they know you holding a bag.
Right. Unbelievable.
So we help people that are at that place that have the bag. We help them protect the bag properly. And again, we don't make any assumptions about New Yorkers about who has a bag or who doesn't.
Right.
We just give you the information, and then what you do with that is entirely up to you.
So with the you were just talking about the umbrella policy. You normally recommend that to someone who has a primary residence and maybe an investment, or who do you normally recommend the umbrella policy? So
we talk to everybody about it because, again, I can't spend your money.
That's true.
So we recommend. So what an umbrella policy is, just for the audience to simplify it. Imagine that you have your pitcher and umbrella that we have on a rainy day. It's open. On one side under the umbrella, you have your automobiles. On the other side, you have your property or properties.
Right.
And you have limits of coverage on that.
Right.
And so God forbid, if you hurt someone in an accident and someone's hurt so bad that $250,000 is not enough. I'm 30 years old. I'm making $100,000 a year. Now I can't work forever.
Right.
They're going to want $1 million. The umbrella policy is that excess $1 million to pay them off so they don't come after your properties. Here in New York, when you look at home values, depending on what area you're selling in,
right.
on the middle to low end of your home values, you're about, I think the median is around 500,000.
500,000.
It's fluctuate a little bit. So you're halfway to having $1 million to lose if you're there. And then when you think about what people earn for a year, you have those assets.
Right.
Now, if you get sued, even if you're not that person that has $1 million of assets, it's going to hurt you more to have your wages garnished because you don't have enough coverage. Okay? So here's a mistake that people make on their car insurance. They get the New York State minimums. What are the New York State minimums?
Shouldn't that be illegal?
It
25.50? That's like unbelievable.
25.50 and 10,000 of property. It should, but people don't know, and people will buy the simplest thing to get it done. And you have these companies, you have billionaires that have spent billions of marketing dollars to tell you that the only thing that matters with insurance is that you save 15% in 15 minutes. What's the rush?
Right.
Where am I rushing? Have you closed any of your properties in 15 minutes?
Absolutely not.
Have you helped any of your customers find, I'm looking for a 4-bedroom this in 15 minutes?
No, it hasn't happened to me. I watch all these reality shows. I see it happen. It hasn't. Yeah. I'm doing this 20 years. It hasn't happened to me. It hasn't happened. I don't think it's happened to me either.
So what's the rush with insurance? You've taken your time. You've seen the houses. You found the right price point. You found the right interest rate. What's the rush on the insurance?
And the most important and the most expensive asset that you probably will ever get.
Absolutely. So that's why you have to take time to have conversations, to listen. And I encourage people to ask your insurance agent, your insurance company, hard questions. Challenge my team. Ask them hard questions. We should be able to answer and explain it to you to make you comfortable. We should be more than able just to give you a price. We shouldn't just be saying, what are you paying now? $200 a month? Okay, we're $220. I'm sorry, I can't help you. No, we have to talk about the coverage differences, why you need more, and how you're going to value and appreciate this policy on the worst day.
Right. I mean, I understand, like you said, if you're dealing with somebody who's just sort of getting started, whether it be automobile insurance, and you can only afford X amount of dollars, the fact that, or the way that you and your team go about explaining it to people as far as what you're actually getting for that bare minimum. And Lord forbid something happens and you get into an accident and now someone has to come after you personally. How far that's going to stretch. It's a no-brainer for you to not have a minimum when it comes to automobile insurance. I mean, I would think that you would at least want to get a 100, 300.
As a starting point.
As a starting point.
As a starting point, and then go forward from here. That was common when houses on Long Island in the borough sold for about $300,000.
Got it.
Our conversation started at $255,000 because that's also the required underlying limits in order to have an umbrella policy. Okay, so that's
the 250. I guess if you can break it down, what the 250 is.
Sure.
And what the 500.
Thank you. I don't want to use insurance jargon. I like using just human language. So the first number in your insurance coverage is if you have $250,000, $500,000. That means the most the insurance company will pay to someone that you injure, or worst case scenario, you fatally injure in an accident, is $250,000 to one person, or $500,000 to everybody involved in an accident. And that's where our conversations start. Conversely, New York State minimum, and each state has minimum liability laws for those listed around the country. They're usually lower than New York.
Right.
But New York State minimum is 25,000, 50,000, 10,000. So let me simplify those numbers. You injure someone in the accident, the most they're going to get is $25,000 for one person.
For one person.
$50,000 for everybody in the car.
And there could be 10 people in the car. Let's say it's a
doesn't
bus.
matter.
It doesn't matter.
They're going to split that up. And if people are really hurt, they're going to come after you personally and say, no way. Femi's an investor. He has multiple properties. Kevin's a business owner. He has this. I want more. And the last number is $10,000. That's property damage. So think of the value of your car. Think of the value of the cars you see on the road.
Right.
We drive on the same highways, same parkways, everything. And there's very few cars that can be purchased for $10,000 less. So if you have
when we were coming up, it was a different story.
It was a different story.
You get a hoopty for a couple hundred,
$1,000. You can get it.
Not now.
Not now. I think right now the average new car is $47,000.
Average new car.
And the average used car is $31,000.
Wow.
So for right now, for anyone listening to this podcast, if you're driving around with $10,000, if you total a car, which you can do while you're texting and driving and recording videos while you're driving, you total one of those cars, that cheap policy has you for the first $10,000, and the rest of it, whatever that car is worth, let's say it's a $30,000 used car, the other $20,000 are going to come out of your pocket if you don't get into a serious conversation about your limits on your policy now.
Listen carefully, folks, to what Kevin's saying. He's dropping some jewels. Everybody needs to understand this. And, you try not to pay attention to it when everything's going good. And then, Lord forbid, when something goes bad, now you're scrambling to try to see what limits you have, and it's kind of too late.
Absolutely. So one of the things you'll see me post about in the coming days is we're trying to stay fresh and keep up with technology. We have a lot of tools that's going to make it really easy for people just to send us their policy information so we can give you a second opinion. And one of the things people like about us, let's say you have a great policy with all the right coverages and you have a great rate. People love the fact that we'll tell you the truth. So you know what? You have a policy with this company. Your limits are great. I would tweak this and I would tweak that. But right now, stay there.
Right. That makes such a big difference because everybody's, in this day and age, like you said, everybody's chasing a dime, chasing a dollar, and everybody thinks that, like you said, going somewhere else or someone coming into this, into the scenario and telling you need to go with me, but if the insurance that I have, like you said, or whatever I'm doing is good enough, I do the same thing. I've had situations where I've talked buyers out of buying certain homes, and they look at me like I have 9 heads. Because for me, it's not about that check. It's about that long-term relationship. Absolutely. I know if I do right by you, you'll refer me, you'll let people know about me, and that's the name of the game.
Absolutely.
I know your business, Kevin. I know a lot of what you do because I don't see you advertise. It's all word of mouth. Am I correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Word of mouth, social media, referrals from our existing customers because we do a good job. It's hard to advertise in today's world. People are looking at 3,000 marketing messages a day.
A day, right?
If I mail you a letter, how can I get that message through?
Right. How do you stand out from everybody else that's talking,
hard.
right?
It's hard.
Wow. Unbelievable. You had questions for him?
I think it answered most of them.
Okay. I like talking to young people, especially new drivers.
Yeah.
Because when you're young and you're a new driver, it's exciting. You're working hard with your dad, and you're able to get nicer things. And people don't talk to you seriously about insurance. They don't see you as a serious prospect. But I will tell you that another thing to consider for your car insurance, with one of the advantages of a company like my company and a few others, we have devices called DriveWise that save you money on your car insurance. But more importantly, it helps you stay a safe driver. It helps you resist the temptation of racing, speeding, turning up for your friends. When that third person's in the car, the person in the passenger seat's responsible. The person in the back wants to turn up. They really want to have fun. It's not enough unless you weave in and out of traffic. Right? And when you think about this DriveWise device and how that impacts your rate and say, you know what, I like what I'm paying. As long as I stay a safe driver, I'm going to pay less. So, turn up for what? As long as we get there, we're going to look good.
We got to look good regardless, right?
Yeah, what's the point? What's the point? So definitely, I love talking to young drivers, and I love talking to parents to have young drivers on their policy to have the real conversation that I've had with my sons when they became drivers.
Yeah. But what I'm starting to notice, or what I've noticed over the last couple of years, once you have a teenage driver or somebody that's of age who can drive, the insurance companies now just automatically just put them on your policy or require that they get a separate policy?
It's always more economical for them to join your policy. It's going to cost you a lot, especially for young men, but young women as well, because they are the newest driver, they're the highest risk driver,
Right.
and it's the greatest exposure for the company that we're probably going to pay out a lot. It's all based on math and numbers.
Right.
And yes, they are automatically adding them to the policy, and all insurance companies do audits annually to see what licensed drivers are in the household. And if you have a licensed driver there, they will add them to your policy automatically, and if you're unwilling to do it, they will cancel you. So That's something else that people should look at right now. Just make sure you're paying attention to your mail or your email, however you receive communication from your company, because there's a lot happening in the insurance industry right now that people need to be aware of.
Wow. Is there any way to even combat that? It's just automatic and there's nothing you can do about it, right?
No. The only way is if they're listed on someone's policy. If you're a licensed driver, you should be on your own policy, the parents' policy in the household, or if parents aren't together, the other one. But you have to be listed because we know that kid is going to drive the car. Well, someone would say, well, Kevin, you don't know me. I'm the kind of parent, if I tell him don't drive, then he's not going to drive.
Chances
the
are.
insurance company has no listening for it because we can't tell.
Right.
We can't. We file it with the state a certain way, and we have to honor those rules and regulations. So we love having those conversations with people to help them understand that it's for their protection. It's for your protection, because if that young driver excited, my youngest son is 18, so he graduated last year, but going into senior year, one of his goals was to have a car, and he did what was required of him. So he was actually driving to school. So
nice. Okay.
I paid that course.
Right.
I know what it was going in. I look forward to him getting 3 years older to be able to come off, but it's part of the course. And me being a parent that's done this 3 times now, and now to have older sons often on their own policies, their own places, and things of that nature. I know it's painful, but it's necessary.
It is when you see that bill.
You see that bill, but it helps you as a parent have better conversations with him, because you become like stronger than the police department, stronger than New York State DMV. And DZ, when you can drive, this is the friend that I trust you with in the car. Right. You set your own rules, and I don't want you on the phone.
We try to help them. You said you have boys.
Yes.
We try to help them, and, sometimes they listen and sometimes they,
It's part of the process. It's part of the process.
Yeah. And I see, I see you got your Knicks hat on. You got your Knicks jacket on. They've been winning as of late.
Yeah, a little bit of a winning streak. It just fell off.
Are you a Knicks fan?
I was born into it.
Okay.
I'm old enough to be alive to remember both of their championships.
Right.
I do a lot community-wise with the Long Island Nets and the Brooklyn Nets.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Right now. But, I like the Knicks. All my colors are built around, my brand colors are built around the Knicks and the Mets and the Islanders. Wow. I like them. Not really like, I don't go crazy. I can't get down when they lose right now. They're not there to compete. The Nets are close, though.
They are. Yeah, I'm a season ticket holder, so we're at a lot of the games, and I like what the Nets are doing.
Yes.
The Knicks too. They still have a ways to go. I mean, if they can get rid of everybody in management, I think they can definitely turn a corner. But I think right now with sports, exciting times.
Absolutely. And you're right to be. Congratulations on being a season ticket holder with Brooklyn, because it rocks. I'll be at a game in 2 weeks. They can see the Nets and the Spurs.
Yeah. We'll be there tonight. We're going to see Giannis and see what that guy can do.
That's
but I'm
a
a
great
Brooklyn
time.
boy. I'm born and raised in Brooklyn, so
Okay, I think I heard you on one of your other podcasts. Bed-Stuy?
Actually, I was born in Kings County.
Okay.
I lived in Flatbush, East New York, Coney Island, Bed-Stuy. I've lived in all parts of Brooklyn.
Okay, beautiful.
Yeah. So, that's kind of what, Brooklyn made me, Brooklyn raised me, and here I am now, a Long Islander.
I love it. But Brooklyn's in your heart, and you get back out there to the Barclays when you can. I love it.
We still do a lot of business in Brooklyn, so we're in Brooklyn 2 or 3 times a week.
Outstanding. Yeah. Well, when it comes to real estate, Brooklyn is a very, very hot market.
Yes.
Growing up, I had uncles that owned properties in Brooklyn. Unfortunately, they sold them, before Brooklyn changed, so
My
they didn't
dad,
get
too.
what they were
My
supposed
dad
to
didn't
get.
even sell them. He had 6 brownstones in Bed-Stuy and was having so many problems with the tenants.
Yeah.
He ended up giving a lot of them back to the banks. And now when he comes, he lives in Connecticut now. And we drive through Brooklyn. He wants to kick himself.
Yes.
But hindsight is 20/20, and what can you do?
Is that your driver to be in real estate, watching what your dad went through and getting out too early?
No, my goal actually for getting into the business was wanting to have the upper hand when I decided to buy a house. I bought my house. I got licensed in April 2002. Found the house in May, and we closed in July.
Okay.
And then exactly a week later, I got laid off from work. So
Wow.
I've seen it all.
Okay.
So all the stuff that goes on now really doesn't faze me because I've been there, done that. But that was the reason. That was one of the reasons, and also to spend more time with the kids because we didn't want anybody watching our kids.
Yes.
So those are the 2 reasons that I wanted to get into the business. When my dad was doing it, I didn't pay any attention to it, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
When you're a teenager and your dad wants you to go to work with him and he wants you to help clean up his properties, you want no parts of that. I want to be out and I want to be a teenager having fun, but you pay no attention to it. But I think just if you have that hustler spirit and that hustler's ambition in you, you start to figure out, things that you want to do. You start to enterprise by yourself. Me, I was a paper boy when I was 12, so I've been working for a long time.
I love it. I love it. I definitely love and can relate to working with your dad and not wanting to do it. My dad was an entrepreneur. He owned an office cleaning business. My brother still owns it to this day.
Wow.
So working with my dad from age 8 was the way that I got pocket money to start with. But there's plenty of days that I didn't want to work. So my whole life,
if you didn't work, you weren't getting any pocket
I wouldn't
change,
get any money. No. There was no allowance.
No handouts, right?
The allowance in my house is that you were allowed to work.
Yes.
That's the opportunity.
Right.
So
I allowanced you to live in this
I
house.
allow you to live here, and if you want something else, I allow you to work.
Yes.
And that's the greatest gift that my father gave me was my work ethic and humility and teaching me to work.
Nice. Because your sons work with you now too, right?
Yes, yeah. All my sons in different capacities. My oldest son just rejoined the business and at one day position it. You'll see him here. My agency name is Abraham Kevin Spann and Sons.
Right.
My oldest son is my namesake. Nice. So we're just positioning. My middle son, Dominique, he does defensive driving, also licensed in insurance. Nice. Okay. And then my youngest son, Trey, is on the content side, but he doesn't like doing insurance content. He likes doing sports content. So he's a digital content creator. He does the highlight videos for high school, college, pro players, and things of that nature. So
nice. Okay. Well, I mean, like you said, in one capacity or another, they were all pretty close.
Mm-hmm.
So, what would be, I guess, your advice to anybody when it comes to insurance? You're looking to get started and you're trying to figure out what to do and who to go with. I mean, mine, of course, is clear. I would say deal with Kevin, but what would be your advice for anybody?
Femi, you asked the most powerful question that anybody's asked me on a podcast. Okay, so let me say that first.
Thank you.
Number 2, get a license. Get an insurance license, and the way you get an insurance license is very similar to a real estate license. You go online and you look at the companies that offer it. It's offered virtually now, so there's AD Banker, on-site exam. Go to New York State Department of Financial Services and find a company that you can get a license. Once you get a license, I would encourage people to reach out to me or a local insurance agent that they can mentor and learn in.
Okay.
Because once you have a license and you've been mentored and you learned a little bit, if you get about 6 months to a year experience, there's no limit to what you can earn in this business. Right. There's no limit to what you can do. But it's more important to learn it before you look for the big dollars. Right. Because while you will be new when you start, you have no interest in me being new and insuring your $500,000 to $1 million home.
Definitely not.
You just don't have an interest. So you want to know what you're talking about. You don't want to have a whole lot of conversations and you're trying to do it on your home and you're blowing your immediate circle of influence. You want to humble yourself and learn for a year, 2 years, you'll be dangerous. But I promise you this, for anyone that takes that first step to get a license, you will be strongly recruited. All insurance companies are looking for licensed people that want to sell insurance. So I definitely, if anybody's listening to it, they're interested, reach out to me because I'm working on some specific things to get people into the insurance industry. Nice. Not necessarily to work for my agency, but to position them to get into the industry and then choose whatever company you want that's the best fit for you, but you will be highly recruited like an athlete, So we talked about sports. What's better than being a professional success and yet you can be recruited for the rest of your life because of what you know?
Right.
I think that's fabulous to have multiple offers.
And like you said, it's very powerful. I think, like you said, in your business, like real estate and some of the other sales businesses, there is no ceiling to the capacity of what you can earn. So, for some it can be a gift and a curse. But you just have to, like you said, take the time to get that knowledge. Once you have the knowledge, everything else is pretty easy.
It takes care of itself. It's just the hard work that follows. Insurance is not sexy like real estate or mortgages. We don't have the big front end layout. It's over time.
Right.
It's over time. So if you have that patience and you want to learn the business and grow in, I want to create thousands of thousandaires, people that can make thousands slowly at a time so you could see it. So you can see it, and as you get more, you'll know what to do with it as opposed to ripping through it and losing it.
Right. And what I noticed, I guess from the outside looking in, I don't see a lot of people that look like us that own insurance companies or own insurance brokerages. And why do you think that is?
We just haven't seen it.
Okay.
So we are a people that copy what we see.
Right.
So if I see you and your son doing a podcast, and I'll double back and how do I start a podcast? Because I saw him and his son do it.
Right.
We could do it. We haven't seen it. So that's the other reason why I try to do it. And I try to do it for us, and I try to do it for all marginalized people. So however you define yourself, if you fit into a marginalized group, people of color, women, certain ethnic groups.
Minorities,
my
whatever.
agency is broad with people that are underrepresented, with people that can speak to them in their language.
Right.
So I'll come back to me being in Queens. 50% of the people in Queens were born outside the U.S. A lot of first-generation people. And when you're working hard, multiple jobs, and you position yourself to buy a $500,000, $1 million house, it's very important to be able to speak to someone in your language.
That's true.
That can explain, why am I paying this? So that's one of the things that we do. We speak multiple languages in my office.
Nice.
French, Creole, Spanish, obviously, Polish, and we're always looking to add people from groups that speak a language that can service an entire community. So we're always looking to add people.
And that's a beautiful thing because, like I was saying when we started this, with the insurance, you don't have, well, you know what, maybe I shouldn't say that, but I think someone who can actually speak your language and talk to you and let you know the different limits and the different things that you actually do need, as opposed to me trying to find a way to save the company money.
Oh,
which,
absolutely.
of course, for the client, it's not going to benefit them. So trying to find people that are actually doing that for me is just really key because, with a lot of us, we don't have that knowledge and we don't have that education when it comes to the insurance for us to be able to know this is what I need when it comes to these different riders and these different things so that, Lord forbid, if a catastrophe does happen, I am properly covered.
Absolutely. So empathy is something that I practice a lot. I try to put myself in my client's shoes. So I don't speak a second language. I listen in several languages. I can follow conversations.
Right.
But I put myself outside the U.S. in another country where that's my second language. And I imagine that I'd have to trust someone that I don't understand to protect my assets.
Right.
So when I start from there, from that position of humility, it helps me to help people the right way because, there but the grace of God, there goes I.
Right.
I don't want to be in that position of having to do it. So I want to treat people the right way. And on the other end, when you take care of people on the front end and they're being sued and they come to you with a letter and they're devastated because they worked so hard to get this. And now that letter means someone's going to take it away.
Right.
Again, we sit there face to face, eye to eye, or Zoom, and we walk them through the conversation, remind them that, you are being sued, but you have the right limits, you have the right coverages all around.
You'll be okay.
We're going to defend you. We're going to protect you. Your policy comes with a lawyer.
With a lawyer. I remember you said that when I read your book.
You don't have to do anything at all. You don't answer any questions. You give it to us and let us work.
Nice.
We'll call you when it's your time.
Nice. Which is a beautiful thing. How do we get in contact with you? Anybody that's looking to get insurance?
Best way these days is IG.
Okay.
Kevin Spann _insurance guru. Kevin Spann _insurance guru. Call or text my agency, 718-381-1400. Call or text, both the same, 718-381-1400. I have a wonderful team of account executives. They're great. They're going to be the ones hands-on that do the quotes and walk you through the policy and make sure you're properly covered. So I definitely encourage you to reach out to me, reach out to my agency. You'll see what we stand for, not only in business, but you'll also see our involvement in the community. We're all about giving back to Wyandanch, where I'm from. The Knicks hat that I'm wearing today is actually a breast cancer awareness hat.
Nice.
We'll be involved with Real Men Wear Pink, something real soon that I'll invite you to off air. We have an event coming to Nassau Coliseum on Saturday, January 14th.
We'll be there.
So definitely, community is really, really big to us.
Nice. And you guys know we only promote the real, and we only try to bring on the people that are actually, adding value and, doing different things for the community, and somebody that you can actually talk to, feel, speak to, touch. It's not someone that, you get into a situation and they tell you to call an 800 number. Kevin is actually on the grounds, there for the people. So that's why I needed to bring him on, so that you can hear the way that he goes about, handling his insurance. And me personally, I am going to be speaking with him about all my insurances off air. But, with the real estate, if you're looking to buy or sell, either give myself a call, give my son a call. If you're behind in your mortgage, you're not sure who to speak to. I have a group of people that I can put you in contact with. You don't have to put your head in the sand, folks, and think that the problem is going to go away. We're definitely here to help you. I put my 20 years of service on the line to try to help the people that we can help. My number is 917-337-3727. On IG, it's Femi the Agent. Definitely reach out to me. My sons?
Femi the Realtor on Instagram, and then my number is 516-662-6824.
Have a great day, folks, and stay safe.